Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins might not be playing a snap this week, but that doesn't mean the franchise is sitting still. In fact, this bye could end up being remembered as the moment the team quietly positioned itself for a double-barreled roster upgrade, one that could reshape the offense. The moment they step back onto the field, and the craziest part, the solution isn't some splashy trade, some blockbuster signing, or some miracle waiver wire pickup. It's simply having the courage to shuffle the pieces that already exist in the building, and trust that the return of one of their longest tenured players can create a ripple effect across the entire offensive line. If Miami is bold, this bye week could be the turning point of their 2025 season. All eyes in South Florida right now are on Austin Jackson, the former first-round pick who has spent nearly his entire professional life wearing aqua and orange. After opening his 21-day activation window ahead of the gritty 16-13 overtime win against the Washington Commanders, Jackson is inching closer and closer to returning from injured reserve. Technically, he hasn't been reactivated yet, but he practiced last week. He'll have the entire bye to reset, and then he gets a full week of practice before Miami takes the field again. If there was ever a soft landing spot for a returning starter to get fully reacclimated, this is it. And if there was ever a perfect time for Miami to think creatively about how to maximize his return, this is absolutely it. The Dolphins' offensive line has been an up and down roller coaster this year, which shouldn't surprise anyone who's followed this team over the years. Injuries, shuffling parts, unexpected breakouts, unexpected struggles. Offensive line chaos has been baked into the Dolphins' DNA for a long time. But this season, Miami's found something rare: stability at right tackle thanks to Larry Borom, the former Chicago Bear who arrived as a versatile swing lineman and has somehow played well enough to make people forget he wasn't even projected as a starter. Borom has logged snaps at all for non-center positions in his career, and that versatility is exactly what makes the next part of this story possible. With Austin Jackson returning, there's no debate about what position he'll resume. He's the team's right tackle. That's his job. That's his home, and the Dolphins want him there. But that doesn't mean Borom has to fade into the background. In fact, if Miami really wants to steal a page from the two upgrades in one move playbook, they should shift Borom inside to right guard the moment Jackson puts his helmet back on, and before anyone dismisses that idea as reckless, understand this: Borom has real, meaningful NFL experience at guard. He knows the footwork, the spacing, the leverage, and the physicality of interior play, and more importantly, Miami desperately needs an upgrade at right guard right now. Let's keep it real. Cole Strange has not been a disaster this season, but he also hasn't been the steadying force the team hoped he'd be. And the film tells a story that the stat sheet doesn't always show. Strange is getting a lot of help in protections, significantly more than rookie Jonah Savania on the left side. That's not normal for a veteran guard. That's not what solid starter play looks like. And when you watch the Washington game closely, the issues at right guard jump off the screen. You see Strange lose the leverage battle. You see him fall off blocks in critical moments near the goal line. You see him get washed out of plays that needed strength, stability, and a clean lane. Whether it was the stuffed third and goal run for Devon Achane, or the fourth down heartbreak for Ollie Gordon, the right guard spot repeatedly showed up as the weak link in the NFL, especially in the red zone where every inch matters. That's the kind of weakness that costs teams wins, and the Dolphins know it. They absolutely know it. They're just waiting for the right moment to address it. This is where the bye week comes in, because it provides the perfect runway for Miami to make the switch. You're not asking Borom to learn the playbook. He already knows it. You're not asking him to adjust to the cadence or get used to new teammates. He's already in the mix. You're simply repositioning him into a role he has played both in Chicago and Miami's system. With the extra practice time now and next week, he could fully settle into the responsibilities of right guard before the Dolphins' next game even kicks off, and suddenly, Miami's offensive line goes from patchwork to upgraded at the spots. To understand why this move is so appealing, all you need to look at is Miami's snap distribution this season. Jonah Savania leads the interior with 637 snaps. Aaron Brewer and Patrick Paul have held strong with 630 snaps apiece. Larry Borom himself has stacked 600 snaps, meaning he's been one of the most reliable bodies On the roster, Cole Strange, on the other hand, sits at 465 snaps and has needed support more frequently than Miami likely anticipated. And remember, Miami still has James Daniels waiting in the wings for his eventual return from injured reserve. His absence after just 3 snaps this season has forced Miami into a constant juggling act. He's a veteran, he's a big body, and he's being paid like someone who will start the moment he's healthy again. When Daniels returns, Burrow would have to move somewhere anyway. Why not get ahead of the curve? The Dolphins have a chance here to proactively fix a problem rather than reactively scramble later. You don't get many opportunities in the NFL to upgrade to positions with a single switch, but Miami has that chance sitting right in front of them. Jackson returns to right tackle. Burrow kicks down to right guard. And suddenly the right side of the offensive line goes from inconsistent to potentially rock solid. This isn't a luxury move, it's a necessary one if Miami wants to clean up the red zone issues that have haunted them all year. The Commanders' game was a perfect example of how one weak link can unravel an entire drive. And when the margins are this small, you simply can't afford to keep rolling with a guard who needs extra help on almost every key snap. The question, of course, is whether the Dolphins will actually pull the trigger. This is where the story gets complicated, because Miami's coaching staff has historically been cautious about shuffling offensive linemen mid-season unless absolutely forced to. They prefer continuity, they value reps, they believe in letting players fight through struggles. That's admirable, but it can also be dangerous when better solutions are staring you right in the face. And right now, the combination of Jackson returning and Burrow playing his best football of the season creates the exact kind of opportunity that bold teams seize at the perfect moment. The bye week provides the space, the depth chart provides the logic, the film provides the evidence. All that's left is the decision. If the Dolphins truly want to give their offense the spark it needs heading into the back half of the season, moving Larry Burrow to right guard the moment Austin Jackson returns isn't just a possibility, it's the right move. It makes the team better immediately. It shores up the red zone struggles. It rewards Burrow for the work he's done while still restoring Jackson to his rightful place. Most importantly, it signals that the Dolphins are serious about ironing out their weaknesses before they become fatal flaws. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments what's your take on the Fins this week. Rumors are swirling around the Dolphins locker room, and this one has sent shockwaves through the NFL community. Sources close to the team suggest that the situation between Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle has reached a boiling point. And it's not just a minor disagreement, it's allegedly a full-blown internal crisis. The whispers first started when teammates were seen exchanging tense glances on the sidelines, and insiders hint that Tua has privately declared he will no longer play alongside Waddle. If this report holds any truth, it could mark one of the most dramatic internal conflicts the Dolphins have faced in recent years. The team, which has been touted for its high-powered offense and dynamic backfield, might now be grappling with something far more destabilizing than injuries or contract negotiations. The tension, according to sources, is not about on-field performance alone. It's about personal dynamics and the way the locker room culture has been impacted by Waddle's presence. Apparently, the star wide receiver has somehow become a figure of friction among his own teammates, and the quarterback's frustration seems to be the tip of the iceberg. In the sports world, locker room chemistry often goes unnoticed until it explodes into public view. And this seems like one of those rare moments. Tua Tagovailoa, whose calm and composed image has long been a trademark, is allegedly fed up with the distractions that have arisen from Waddle's interactions within the team. Some insiders hint that it's more than a personality clash. They suggest that the quarterback feels the receiver's presence has led to divisions among other players, creating cliques and tension that trickle down into practice sessions and team meetings. There are murmurs that certain players openly avoid him in the hallways, and that locker room conversations have become charged with whispered criticisms that linger like a storm cloud. The very idea that a franchise quarterback would make such a definitive statement about refusing to play with a teammate speaks volumes, particularly considering Tua's usually measured approach to public and private discourse. It raises questions about leadership, respect, and the underlying pressures that athletes face when expectations clash with reality. Adding another layer to this narrative is the suggestion that Waddle's popularity or lack thereof among the Dolphins players has been eroding steadily. The whispers indicate that resentment has been building for some time, that the wider roster may quietly blame him for distractions or for a perceived lack of accountability in moments of high stakes. It's the kind of internal politics that can be invisible to fans watching on TV, but devastating to team cohesion. Tua's alleged comments reportedly went beyond casual venting. Insiders claim he has made it clear to coaches that the working relationship is untenable. Such a declaration, if it were to become public, could force management into a difficult position. Do they side with the star quarterback, whose leadership and vision guide the offense, or do they attempt to mediate and preserve the talent they have at receiver? The balance of power in the locker room is delicate, and the Dolphins may now be facing a test that is far more strategic and psychological than anything that happens on the field. Social media, of course, has already exploded with speculation. Fans are divided between those defending Waddle, insisting he's a professional and that internal friction is normal, and those questioning whether his presence is truly compatible with Tua's style of leadership. Commentators and sports analysts are weighing in with theories ranging from personality mismatches to clashes of ambition, noting that when two highly talented individuals share a high-pressure environment, sparks are bound to fly. Yet the intrigue lies not in who is right or wrong, but in how this tension might reshape the Dolphins' trajectory. If the quarterback refuses to collaborate with a key receiver, what does that mean for offensive strategy, game planning, and even team morale? Speculative reports suggest that the coaching staff is scrambling to find ways to diffuse the tension, holding closed-door meetings and attempting to mediate. But insiders imply that these efforts may be too little, too late. The narrative unfolding behind the scenes is one of drama, politics, and personalities clashing in ways that could ripple through the team season. What's particularly fascinating about this situation is the timing and context. The Dolphins, in recent years, have cultivated a culture of high expectations, innovation on offense, and meticulous planning. A rift like this is not just an interpersonal matter. It threatens to undermine the architecture of the entire team. Analysts point out that Tua Tagovailoa's calm demeanor has long been his trademark, but even the most composed leaders have breaking points. The alleged refusal to play alongside Waddle could be interpreted as a form of protest, a signal to management that the quarterback's trust and comfort in the locker room are paramount. Meanwhile, whispers about Waddle being hated by the locker room hint at the possibility that this conflict is not isolated but systemic. Could this tension be a symptom of deeper cultural or strategic misalignments within the Dolphins organization? That's the question everyone is asking. From fans in the stands to executives in the boardroom, the stakes are immense because this is not just a player disagreement. It's a crisis that could define narratives about leadership, loyalty, and accountability in professional sports. Speculation is also rife about how this situation might influence the Dolphins' broader strategy moving forward. Some insiders speculate that trades, lineup adjustments, or even coaching changes could be on the table if the friction persists. Others suggest that management may attempt to recalibrate team chemistry through subtle shifts in practice schedules, mentorship pairings, or internal accountability mechanisms. The uncertainty is part of what makes this story so compelling. The intersection of elite talent, human emotion, and the unforgiving spotlight of professional football creates a perfect storm. Observers note that when a quarterback publicly or even privately refuses to play with a teammate, it often leads to ripple effects that extend beyond the field. Morale issues, media scrutiny, and fan unrest can all escalate quickly, and it becomes a delicate balancing act for leadership. In this case, the tension between Tua and Waddle could act as a catalyst for wider organizational changes. Whether those changes are intentional or reactive, the drama is not confined to the Dolphins' organization either. League-wide, NFL insiders are taking note of the apparent rift. Teams are watching closely, recognizing that even the most talented rosters can be destabilized by personality clashes and internal discord. For fans and analysts, the fascination lies in the unpredictability. This isn't a situation with clear solutions or simple fixes. Every report, every rumor, every snippet from an insider adds layers to an already complex narrative, creating a sense of anticipation and unease. If the Dolphins cannot resolve the tension, the implications could extend far beyond a single game or season. The internal struggle between a franchise quarterback and a key offensive weapon is precisely the kind of story that defines legacies, shifts perceptions, and keeps the sports world buzzing. Whether this is a temporary bump in the road or the beginning of a deeper schism, the intrigue continues to mount. What makes this story even more compelling is the human element. Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle are not just athletes, they are personalities with distinct motivations, egos, and ways of approaching the game. The alleged friction between them is a reminder that professional sports are as much about managing relationships and temperaments as they are about statistics and physical skill. Insiders hint at countless moments behind closed doors, frustrated exchanges during film sessions, tense sideline interactions, and subtle body language that tells a story fans never see. And while public statements may be measured or neutral, the whispers suggest a locker room environment charged with emotion, where every decision and comment carries weight. The rumor mill is running at full speed, feeding speculation that could influence everything from player performance to coaching decisions. The uncertainty surrounding this narrative creates a kind of magnetic tension, pulling in fans, analysts, and insiders alike. At the center of it all, the question remains, how will the Dolphins navigate this crisis? Management faces a complex calculus balancing the talents and temperaments of Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Waddle, and the rest of the roster. While maintaining competitive performance on the field, coaches are reportedly walking a tightrope, trying to prevent a single relationship conflict from becoming a team-wide problem. The stakes are high because the narrative of discord can often overshadow on-field achievements. No matter how talented the roster may be, if the tension between Tua and Waddle continues to simmer, it may force difficult decisions, roster changes, shifts in leadership roles, or even strategic compromises in how the offense is deployed. The Dolphins are now at a crossroads, and every move they make will be scrutinized not only by fans, but by an entire league that thrives on drama and intrigue. The rumors continue to build, and for the Dolphins, this is more than just a story, it's a defining moment that could shape the future of the team for years to come. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up!